Okay, so here we have a stock set of manifolds for the exhaust manifolds. Over here we have an aftermarket set. And then we have stock cats. Down here we have another set of headers. Aftermarket high flow cats. So with the stock set of manifolds here, you can see in here this port is not exactly round. So that puts a little dampening on the flow of things going through. And you can see that's smaller than the outlet there. And then you get to these, and you see the outlet or the opening here is just as big as the ports on your heads. And then your exhaust outlet is much, much bigger, and there's nothing to obstruct it like is going on in here with these. Now let's get on to the cats. On your stock Camaro, I think Mustang and Challenger are the same thing. You'll have two sets of cats. And then when you go to do an aftermarket set, you get one high flow cat like this one. And then for those of you that think V8 and V6 are a lot different in everything they have, here's a V6 set of cats set next to the V8 ones. Other than a few of the tubes being different, they're exactly the same. Even the exits are the same size and pretty close to the same pattern, because on the Camaro, the V6 and the V8 after the cats run the same exhaust all the way through. If you had a V6, this exhaust would fit on there. Yeah, it would help make some horsepower and make some different stuff, but I don't do V6, so I have no clue how all this works on a V6. But as you can see here, with the headers, I forget what manufacturers these ones are, and they're long tubes. Short ones would be somewhere up in here. Long tubes give you the best flow, best sound, louder sound. And as you can see, each manufacturer has their different way to run all the tubes on their headers. As you can see, these ones here, they're a little different. And the ones on the floor are Cook's. This whole exhaust system down here is a Cook's exhaust. And then I have Texas speed headers on that one. Wish I had a set laying on the floor so we could see those. But so headers, cats. Now when we talk about exhaust, cat back starts here and goes all the way back. If you talk about an axle back, the rear end sits roughly right in here. And this would give you an axle back muffler delete. And then an axle back, these all depends on which ones you get. Some stop right here, some come back over to here. You have to cut this stock exhaust. Now let's talk about the exhaust itself. This is stock exhaust for these Camaros with the H pipe in the middle. 2.5. This one is 3-inch. Let's put this down here so you can see the difference. All right. 2-inch, 2.5-inch versus 3-inch. It's quite a bit different, where you can see, because this is set up for an axle back, you can see right here, this is a stock clamp. And on an axle back, it would go from here, that direction, with all your stock cats coming down to here. That's why it's smaller here. Doesn't change the horsepower a bit. And then mufflers. All mufflers are going to be different. Every single one of them. They're going to sound different. They're going to make different power. They're going to make different things. So it's all about what you want to hear, what you want to sound like. Cooks, these are nice and deep. They sound great. On my 2010 that's hiding out there, somewhere right out in there where it's wrecked, that one has Corsa Extreme on it, and it screams. This one, it's generic on the back. I still haven't found a label, and it's pretty loud as well. So, like I said, I don't care if it is a Camaro, the Mustang, or the Challenger sitting under that cover out there. All of them need some kind of an upgrade. And the best one, like I said, is a tune. But if you're going to do a tune, spend the money and get stuff that goes along with it. And what I'm talking about here is there's an O2 sensor hole, and there's an O2 sensor hole. We go over here to the stock set. There's an O2 sensor hole here and an O2 sensor hole there. So you can see the two holes. There's what it looks like with sensors coming out of them. These cats are made for emissions so that they pass all the emissions tests. These cats down here are high flow, so they let more air, more everything through. Those ones over there do not. So when you change it, it changes the exhaust gases, the flow that goes through them, the oxygen that's in there, the carbon dioxide that's in there, carbon monoxide. Changes all that. So you need to figure out how all that works and make sure that you tune it accordingly, which if you get the right tuner, they will. Okay, so here's my Camaro with the hood open. You can see down in there. You can see the headers right there. Spark plug boots, all that stuff next to it. And then like I was saying with the intake, here's an aftermarket K&N intake. Some people call them hot air intakes, but stock, this is closed off with a flat end in air filter in there. This comes through, goes in here, has another box out here, which is made like a exhaust resonator to quiet everything down on the intake so you don't hear it when you hit the throttle body. Well, I'm gonna finish the video here in front of the Mustang. Yes, I love GM, but I don't mind a good-looking Mustang. Shelby, gotta admit, they do look pretty good. Although I do want one of this body style, but I really want a Boss 302. And you know, we got the Mopar outside, Challenger, Chargers are good too. A little heavy, but they'd be fun to have too and play with. I really want naturally aspirated cars because they're more aggressive. I ran this one down the street the other day just to get it. Hasn't been driven in a while, so it needed to get out and move. So I just went about a quarter of a mile down the road and turned around and came back just to get it to move the oil through it and get everything moving, brakes, clutch, all that stuff. You know, every once in a while you got to do that, keep these cars from locking up and not wanting to do anything and leaking fluids, and because all the seals go bad because they don't get driven. But let's get back to the task at hand, the power here. You know, every car is different. If you like power adders, I'm not against it. Superchargers, pro chargers, turbos, they all got their place. Everybody likes something different. I just like the aggressive nature of just naturally aspirated. And in my Camaro, just aggressive. It sounds awesome. I've been in and driven cars with way more horsepower than mine that are Camaros, and they just don't feel the same because they're supercharged, and it just slowly comes up. It's not the aggressive grunt, roar, snarl that are manuals are way better than automatics in my opinion, just because you get to play with the gears. I understand I'm getting older, and eventually I'm going to have to be in automatics again, but you know, they all have their place. Everybody likes something different. When you find what you like, stick with it. Do what you want. Don't let anybody else tell you how it works. And all these cars, the Mustangs, the Camaros, Challengers, Chargers, the V6s are not that much horsepower different and are still just as fun to drive if you like to drive them. So another video or so, I'll go through and show differences of rear ends. Still don't have any ZL1 stuff here, but I can show differences between the V6 and the V8. Things like that, so you know the differences and how easy it is to swap things over, because in the Camaro, there's not much difference from one to the other on a whole lot of stuff. I mean, like the motor, once you get past the cats, the exhaust is the same. A lot of other stuff is the same. We can go over that a different time. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I didn't bore you too bad. Appreciate you. Have a good day. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe.